I thought I knew who my husband was. Until one random photo made me question everything: my marriage, my friendships, my whole reality. What I discovered next. I'll never unsee. I'm not even sure how to start this without sounding like I've lost my mind. My name's Rachel. I'm 32. I've been married to Matt for 6 years, and we just had our first baby, Emma, a few months ago. Life was good, or at least it looked good on paper. Until a photo on someone else's fridge broke it all. The someone else was Emily. Emily and I met in college. Dorm neighbors turned inseparable sisters. She was the kind of friend who'd show up with wine when I was crying over grades, who helped plan my engagement, who stood next to me at my wedding with tears in her eyes. I trusted her with everything. I would have taken a bullet for her. So when she got pregnant a year before I did, single, no clear father, I was there for it all. Ultrasounds, cravings, postpartum panic. I held her son, Noah, when he was only an hour old. She never said who the dad was. Just called it a messy situation and shut down the conversation every time. I respected her privacy. That's what best friends do, right? Flash forward to now. It was last Sunday. We stopped by Emily's house on our way home from my mom's. Emma was fussing in the car seat, Matt wanted coffee, and I said let's just swing by Em's. She always had the good snacks and didn't mind uninvited visits. She opened the door in her usual messy bun, oversized sweatshirt look. Noah was on the floor pushing toy trucks. Emma quieted down immediately when she saw him. She always does. I joked about how she already had a crush. Emily laughed, offered coffee. We sat in her kitchen while the kids played on a blanket. That's when I saw it. A new photo on the fridge, held up by a pizza magnet. It was small, like a wallet-sized snapshot from daycare or something. Noah, smiling, holding a finger painting. But it wasn't the painting that made my throat close. It was his eyes. Hazel. A green-flecked hazel that never used to strike me before. But suddenly I realized, they looked exactly like Matt's. Not similar, not coincidence. Identical. Down to the same flex and slight droop in the left lid when he smiled. I felt my chest lock up. I walked over to get a closer look, pretending to grab a bottle of water. My hand was shaking. The closer I looked, the worse it got. The shape of his nose. The dimples. The ears. The same awkward cowlick near the right temple. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely hear Emily asking if I wanted oat milk or almond. I said I needed to use the bathroom. I walked in, locked the door, sat on the closed toilet lid and stared at my hands. I wanted to be wrong. I needed to be wrong. But I knew I wasn't. The baby I'd helped swaddle. The child I'd babysat while Emily cried in the next room. The little boy I'd called my honorary nephew. Was my husband's son. I sat there in that bathroom just, still. You know that feeling when your brain splits in two? Like one part of you is screaming and spinning out, but the other is just weirdly calm? I stared at the cheap little bathroom candle Emily always keeps on the back of the toilet. Vanilla and cedar. I must have bought that for her a year ago. She lit it every time I came over. Like a ritual. I think that's what got me. The little things. The rituals. The quiet betrayals hiding in plain sight. I splashed water on my face, forced a smile in the mirror, and walked back into that living room like my whole chest hadn't just collapsed. I don't even remember what I said. Something about a migraine. Something about needing to leave. Emily offered Advil and a couch nap, but I shook my head and kissed her cheek like I didn't want to scream. Matt was on the floor tickling Emma, but he looked up when I said we needed to go and gave me a weird look. I didn't make eye contact. I just buckled the baby, mumbled thanks, and walked out. The drive home was quiet. Matt was rambling about a podcast, but I didn't hear a word. I just kept seeing Noah's face. His smile. The little swirl of hair on the right side of his head. I'd kissed that swirl 100 times, never thinking twice. I waited until Matt was in the shower that night to pull out an old photo album. One from when he was 5 or 6. There it was. Same cowlick. Same eyes. I felt like I was going to vomit. I tried to sleep, but every creak in the house felt like the sound of everything cracking. I kept hearing Emily's laugh in my head, echoing from the kitchen. The way she joked about dating disasters. The way she'd always show up with takeout when Matt and I had a fight. Like a perfect buffer. A built-in excuse. I should have seen it. The next morning I texted Sophia. She's the only person I trust more than myself. She's been in our group since high school, never dramatic, never cruel. She's also the kind of woman who could pick a lie out of a locked diary. I just sent her one line. Do you think Noah looks like Matt? She replied in 2 minutes. Wait, what? Are you serious? I told her I was going over there again. I needed to see it. I needed to be sure. She told me not to go alone. But I didn't listen. That afternoon, I made an excuse to drop off some clothes Emily had left at my place months ago. She opened the door with Noah on her hip, juice box in hand. She looked tired. Not guilty. Not smug. Just tired. She let me in, told Noah to go finish his snack, and made us tea. Like nothing had shifted. The picture was still there on the fridge. But this time, I looked at everything else. A frame drawing Noah made. A magnet that said, "Messy house, happy kid." And on the counter, a small silver bracelet. It was one of those cheap Etsy ones. The kind with tiny initials engraved in a circle charm. It said, N+M. I stared at it too long. Emily noticed. Oh, she said quickly, picking it up. Just something Noah made me at daycare. The M's for Mom. Cute, right? But her voice cracked at the end. Just the tiniest bit. And that was when I knew. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just set her folded clothes on the counter and said I had to go. She tried to hug me. I stepped back. She looked confused, then scared. Like some part of her brain finally registered what I might know. I walked out without another word. That night, I lay next to Matt, staring at the ceiling. He fell asleep within minutes. I watched his chest rise and fall and thought about the day he proposed. The way Emily had cried when I told her. Said she was so happy for us. How she made a whole Pinterest board for my wedding. How she helped pick the song for our first dance. How long had she been lying? How long had he? And why was I only seeing it now? Because deep down, maybe I didn't want to look. But now I couldn't unsee it. And I couldn't unfeel it either. The next morning I didn't even pretend to function. Emma was crying and I didn't get up. Matt changed her diaper, made coffee, and brought me toast like nothing was wrong. Like he hadn't possibly fathered a child with my best friend. He kissed my forehead and said, "You okay? You seem off." I said I had cramps. He nodded sympathetically. "Let me know if you need anything." The audacity made me feel like screaming. I waited until he left for work before calling Sophia. She picked up on the second ring. "No, hello, just. You went over there, didn't you?" I told her everything. The photo, the eyes, the bracelet, the crack in Emily's voice. The kind of stuff that sounds like paranoia when you say it out loud, unless you've lived with someone's face long enough to recognize it on another. Sophia didn't even hesitate. "That kid is Matt's," she said. I was quiet. "I mean, think about it," she went on. "Emily's been weird for years. And Matt, he's always had that thing where he looks at people like he's keeping a secret. You know what I mean?" I did. And it made my skin crawl to hear her say it out loud. We talked for an hour. Sophia helped me map out the timeline. Emily got pregnant 3 years ago. Around that time, Matt and I had a rough patch. He started working late more often. We weren't trying for kids yet, and I was dealing with a miscarriage scare that knocked me off center. That was also when Emily stopped coming around as much. Back then, I thought she was just giving us space. But now I could picture her car outside our apartment when I wasn't home. Her voice in our kitchen. The way Matt always swore he couldn't remember the name of her baby daddy, some guy she dated for a few weeks, I think. I believed him. I believed both of them. Because why wouldn't I? That evening, I took Emma on a walk just to clear my head. The baby carrier felt heavier than usual. I walked aimlessly through the neighborhood, barely noticing anything until I found myself outside Emily's place again. Her lights were on. Noah was pressed against the window, toy in hand. He waved at me. I didn't wave back. I just turned around and walked the other way. Back home, I tried to act normal. I fed Emma. I washed bottles. I sat on the couch while Matt played with her on the floor, tickling her belly and making that stupid airplane noise she loved. She giggled like he was the best thing in the world. And maybe he was. To her. I took a picture of them together. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to remember this moment, this last breath of pretending. Before everything changed. Later that night, when Matt went out to grab ice cream, I opened his laptop. I know I shouldn't have. But I had to. Emails. Bank statements. Calendar events. Nothing dramatic. Nothing labeled secret affair with Emily. But there were gaps. 2 weekends in particular, 3 years ago. He told me he was at a work retreat in Denver. But his credit card showed a charge at a diner 2 miles from Emily's place. There was no work event. And I remembered those weekends. How I'd been sick with the flu, too weak to even get off the couch. Emily hadn't answered my texts then either. It all lined up. Too perfectly. Sophia came over the next day. She brought muffins and her laptop in the kind of determination only she can manage before noon. We started digging. Her idea. She searched old Instagram stories, Google timeline data, anything that might fill in the blanks. And she found something. A photo Emily had posted, blurred in the background, barely noticeable. But there was a mug on the table. One of Matt's favorites. A weird, ugly one he got at a secret Santa party years ago. He swore it brought him luck. He never left it anywhere. Except, apparently, Emily's kitchen. Sophia zoomed in, gasped, and looked at me. Tell me you see it. I did. It was like my stomach dropped out of my body. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't jealous. I was right. And being right had never felt worse. I didn't confront him that night. I should have. God knows every cell in my body wanted to scream. But I didn't have the strength to face the storm yet. I needed time. Space. Clarity. Something resembling control. So instead, I played the part. I smiled. I kissed him goodnight. I lay in bed next to him, counting the seconds between each of his breaths like they were a countdown to something. His hand brushed mine in his sleep. I didn't move. I felt like a stranger in my own life. The next morning, I texted Emily. It was short. Can we talk? No response for hours. Then finally. Hey. Crazy day? Want to do lunch tomorrow? That casual tone. That cheerful exclamation point. It made me nauseous. I agreed anyway. We met at a small cafe halfway between our places. The kind of spot we used to go to every week, back before kids and husbands and secrets. She wore sunglasses even though it was cloudy. Noah wasn't with her. Neither of us ordered food. She tried to talk about work. About her mom's upcoming surgery. About Emma's Halloween costume. I just watched her mouth move. I kept thinking about that tiny bracelet on her counter. The N+M. The way she clutched it when I asked. Finally, I cut her off. Emily. My voice sounded foreign. Is Matt Noah's father? She froze. A full 5 seconds of silence. Then without looking up, she said. I don't know what you're talking about. Classic. I didn't blink. I think you do. She swallowed hard, then smiled like I told a bad joke. Rachel, come on. Don't gaslight me. Just don't. Another pause. Then softer. Why are you doing this? I almost laughed. You mean why am I asking about the fact that my best friend might have had a child with my husband while pretending to love me for 3 years? Her jaw clenched. She looked around like someone might be listening. Then she leaned forward and said it. It was one time. I swear to God, the world stopped spinning. What? It happened once, she repeated. We were drunk. You and Matt had justy. Don't, I snapped. Don't you dare try to make this about me. Her eyes watered, but I didn't care. I wanted her to cry. I wanted her to hurt. Just a little. Just enough. He told me it didn't mean anything, she whispered. Of course he did. I stood up. She reached for my arm. Rachel, wait, please. I pulled away like her touch burned. You should have told me, I said. You owed me that much. She didn't follow me. Just sat there crumbling behind her sunglasses. That night I didn't sleep. I laid next to Matt again, stiff as stone. The rage sat in my chest like a second heartbeat. Not loud. Just steady. Quiet. Certain. I didn't want revenge. Not yet. I wanted answers. The next day, I made a copy of Noah's photo from Emily's fridge. I took it to a private DNA lab 2 towns over. I said it was for an educational project. They didn't ask questions. I left the sealed envelope with Emma's hair inside. 3 days. 3 days of pretending. 3 days of Matt kissing my cheek and asking if I wanted Thai or tacos for dinner while I tried to remember how to breathe in the same room as him. Sophia offered to let me stay at her place. I said no. I needed to stay in the eye of the storm until I knew exactly where the lightning would land. On the 3rd day, the email came. Subject line. Results ready. I opened it. There were numbers. Charts. A breakdown I didn't need. Because at the top in bold black letters it said. Probability of paternity, 99.998%. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't feel anything. Just a quiet, cold certainty. My husband had a child with my best friend. And now I had proof. I waited 3 hours before printing it out. Not because I was unsure. I wasn't. I just needed to hold it in my hands. To feel the weight of it. Like if the truth had physical mass, maybe it would settle something inside me. When I finally printed the report, the paper came out warm. That small, mundane detail broke something in me. The warmth of a thing that should have been cold. I folded it neatly, slid it into a plain white envelope and tucked it inside the back pocket of the diaper bag. Then I picked Emma up from her nap and fed her peas while Matt watched a football game like our world wasn't a bomb waiting to detonate. He asked me if I wanted wine with dinner. I said sure. It was surreal. Like acting in a play I didn't audition for. Smiling in scenes I didn't write. But the thing about pretending is, once you get good at it, no one suspects a thing. The confrontation didn't happen that night. Or the next. Instead, I let it simmer. Let him get comfortable. I was waiting for the right moment and I knew exactly where it would be. My parents were hosting a small family brunch that Sunday. They adored Matt. Called him their second son. My mom still printed out photos of our wedding and kept them in a frame on her nightstand. She even called Noah her bonus grandbaby. The irony. That morning as we were getting ready, Matt made some dumb joke about Emma's messy hair and how she definitely got that from me. I almost told him then. I almost turned and held the envelope up and said, really? Because apparently she's the only one. But I didn't. Instead, I packed the diaper bag like usual. Made sure the formula was prepped. Double-checked the wipes in the spare onesie. And placed the envelope in the inside pocket. Like a ticking time bomb. We arrived at my parents' house around noon. Everyone was there, my parents, my sister and her boyfriend, Sophia, who I'd invited on purpose, and Emily. Yeah, Emily. She showed up with Noah like nothing had happened. Like we hadn't sat in a cafe 3 days ago and torn our entire friendship to shreds. She brought muffins. Of course she did. I watched Matt hug her. Not long. Not inappropriate. But I watched him breathe differently around her. Like some part of him relaxed. I saw it because I was finally willing to. I set Emma down in her bouncer, handed her a stuffed toy, and walked into the kitchen. My mom was mixing mimosas. Sophia was chopping fruit, stealing glances at me every few seconds. She knew something was coming. She just didn't know what. Brunch was nice. Too nice. Like a dream someone else was having. We passed plates, shared stories, laughed politely. Emma giggled when Matt made a face. Noah spilled syrup on the table and Emily laughed like a mom in a Hallmark movie. I waited until the end. Until everyone was full and sluggish, coffee in hand, the room soft and warm. Then I stood. Cleared my throat. All eyes turned. I didn't look at Emily. Or Matt. Just pulled the envelope out of the diaper bag and set it on the table in front of him. What's this? Matt asked, frowning. Read it. He opened it slowly. The rustle of paper was the only sound in the room. I watched his eyes move down the page. Watched his face fall. His lips parted, then closed again. My father asked, Rachel? Matt looked up. Pale. Sweat on his brow. Where did you get this? He asked. A lab, I said. It's a paternity test. Gasps. A glass clinked. Someone muttered, Jesus. Matt swallowed hard. Rachel. I cut him off. Noah is your son, isn't he? Silence. Emily stood. Please, can we talk about this privately? I turned to her slowly. You had 3 years to talk. Now everyone listens. My mom looked like she was about to cry. My dad stared at Matt like he didn't recognize him. Matt didn't deny it. He just put his face in his hands. And that told me everything. Sophia led me outside a few minutes later. I sat on the porch swing, my hands shaking, heart pounding. I couldn't hear anything but blood rushing in my ears. Sophia handed me a tissue. You okay? No. She nodded. Good. Back in the house, Emily had left. Noah's truck sat forgotten on the rug. Matt stood in the doorway, guilt written across every inch of him. Rachel, he said. Please. But I just looked at him. Like I was seeing a ghost. And maybe I was. I didn't go home with him. I packed Emma into her car seat, grabbed the diaper bag with trembling fingers, and let Sophia drive me back to her place. Matt followed us out barefoot, still begging. But I never looked back. He called 5 times that night. Texted even more. Please talk to me. It wasn't like that. I didn't mean for it to happen. I read every message but didn't respond. Letting his words sit there, cold and unanswered, was the only power I had left. Emily never reached out. Not once. No apology. No defense. No excuses. Just silence. And somehow that hurt even more. Sophia let me stay in her guest room. Emma slept in the travel crib beside me, completely unaware that her whole family just cracked down the center. That night, I cried for real. Not just over the betrayal, but over all the lost versions of myself. The girl who called Emily her soulmate. The wife who thought Matt was flawed but loyal. The mother who thought her daughter was born into something safe and sacred. All gone. Just memories now. The next morning, Sophia made pancakes. I couldn't eat, but I appreciated the effort. Matt showed up at her door around noon. Sophia answered it. I stayed in the kitchen, heart pounding, listening like a criminal. She doesn't want to see you, Sophia said. Please. Just a minute. Her voice was steady. You had minutes. You had years. The door closed. That's when the rage came. Not the kind that screams and breaks things. The kind that sits behind your ribs like fire you can't put out. 2 days later, I went back to our apartment to get more clothes. Matt was gone at work, I assumed. I didn't warn him I was coming. I didn't need his permission anymore. I moved quickly. Diapers. Emma's onesies. My shoes. My toothbrush. All into bags. Then I stopped by our bedroom. The bed looked smaller. Emptier. His sides still smelled like his shampoo. That familiar sandalwood scent that used to make me feel safe. Now it made me sick. I opened his dresser drawer. Found the old photo strip from our first date, one we'd both forgotten about. We were smiling. Young. Oblivious. I stared at that photo for a long time. Then shoved it in the back of the drawer and kept packing. On my way out, I saw the envelope still sitting on the table where I'd left it. A smudge on one corner from someone's coffee cup. That felt fitting. I grabbed it. Tore it in half. Then again. Then again. Tiny pieces of truth, fluttering to the floor like confetti at the world's worst party. Back at Sophia's, I rocked Emma to sleep and tried to feel something. Relief, maybe. Justice. Power. But all I felt was hollow. And tired. So tired. Sophia poured wine and sat beside me. You did the right thing, she said. I nodded, but I didn't believe it yet. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But all I could think about was how much of my life had been built on someone else's secret. And how many more were still waiting to be found. That night, Matt emailed me. Yeah. An email. Like we were co-workers, not husband and wife. Subject line. If you'll read this. I hesitated before clicking. Inside, he wrote a full page. No begging. No defending. Just words. It wasn't love, Rachel. It was a mistake I made in a moment I can't take back. I never told you because I knew it would destroy everything we built. And I didn't want to lose you. I still don't. No, it wasn't planned. I didn't even know for sure he was mine until recently. Emily kept it vague. I let her. I know you'll never forgive me. I don't expect you to. I just needed you to know I loved you. I still love you. I'm sorry. It didn't change anything. But I printed it anyway. I wanted to hold that too. His failure. His final admission. Like a scar I could put on paper. Sophia helped me look at lawyers the next morning. Not to file for divorce. Not yet. But to understand what I'd need. Custody. Housing. Finances. My name on the lease. The possibility of mediation. It was like building a life out of rubble, one clause at a time. Then on Friday, something unexpected happened. I was holding Emma, walking to the park, when a woman stopped me on the sidewalk. She looked familiar, but I couldn't place her. Are you Rachel? She asked gently. I hesitated. Yeah. I'm Curtis. My heart stopped. It took me a second. Curtis. Gianna's husband. The guy from that other story. The one Emily used to talk about in vague, bitter tones. Apparently, our pain had friends in common. He looked at me with the same tired expression I'd seen in the mirror all week. I heard, he said. I'm sorry. I didn't know what to say. So I just nodded. He glanced at Emma. Smiled sadly. They always think we won't find out, he said. Then he left. That one line stayed with me. They always think we won't find out. But we do. Eventually we always do. It's been 3 weeks. 3 long, echoing weeks since the brunch. Since the envelope. Since I shattered the glass of everything I thought I knew. Matt hasn't seen Emma. Not because I'm keeping her from him, but because he hasn't asked. Not once. He still sends messages. Still writes long emails about regret in therapy and maybe someday. He leaves voicemails that sound tired, small. The kind of voice people use when they finally run out of excuses. I don't respond. Not to punish him. But because there's nothing left to say, Emily moved. I heard through Sophia, who heard through someone else. A new apartment in a different part of town. No goodbye. No apology. Just gone. Like she could outrun the damage she caused. Like we wouldn't remember. But I do. I remember everything now. A week ago, I sat down with a lawyer. We talked custody, property, mediation. I signed some things I didn't understand and nodded at words I never thought I'd hear in connection with my life. Divorce. Custody schedule. Paternity disclosure. The words didn't sting as much as I expected. They just landed flat, like bricks laid on cold ground. Heavy but stable. A foundation I could build on. I moved into a small rental 2 blocks from Sophia. 2 bedrooms. A tiny patio. A creaky floor that makes Emma giggle when she crawls across it. It's not much, but it's mine. The first night I slept there, Emma woke up crying. I scooped her up, rocked her in the half-light, and whispered a truth I needed to say out loud. You are the only thing that ever made sense. She blinked at me, quiet again, hand wrapped around my finger. And I knew I'd be okay. People keep telling me I'm brave. I'm not. I'm just awake now. There's this moment right after everything breaks where you expect to fall apart too. But sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just stand there looking at the pieces and think, I can live without that one. I never needed that one. That one? That one was already cracked. And you begin again. I won't lie and say I've healed. I still flinch when Emma giggles like Matt. I still freeze when someone mentions Emily in passing. I still have dreams where I walk into a room and they're both there holding Noah, smiling like they won. But I wake up. And I get out of bed. And I keep going. That's enough for now. I saw Curtis again. Randomly at a park. He was with his niece, he said. We talked for a bit. Shared that tired, quiet humor only the betrayed seemed to know. Before we left, he said something I won't forget. They burned it down, Rachel. But you? You didn't stay in the ashes. And for the first time in a long time, I believed that.